Welcome back, family. Escape of the Bride, Decode 15, The Golden Road. Let's do this. Okay, fam, there's some things that we missed on the last Decode 14, and we're going to be breaking all of those signs down. I'm trying to limit these videos to around an hour, and it's been taking me some time to get through these, so I'm trying to do my best at keeping them a little shorter, cut out the fluff. So, what we're doing here is we're looking at the tabernacle in Sagittarius. Forgive me if I have some issues with I'm about 80% through this. Thanks for all of your prayers. It was just amazing how the key is always the prayers. Um, I appreciate everybody who's posted comments and is praying for me. Uh, there's a beautiful side of this when you have what I consider my family, which is people who are following this channel and other watchmen that I know very well that are covering me in their prayers on their channels. And it's beautiful how when that message went out, um, I immediately almost started feeling better. And it's just incredible how your prayers are very effective. And I've gone through this before, and as soon as I put a prayer request up, it just seems like it's a real short period of time and things start happening. So again, thank you for everyone who has been praying for me. I'm just starting to make a turn. I still have some congestion in my sinuses, but it's not uh, the way it was. It's just crazy. I've never experienced anything like this. It's just been one thing after the other, and I know, and I'm sure all of you know that this is like a spiritual attack. They're doing everything they can on their side to keep all of this kind of stuff out of the grasp of the majority of the people. And I've been doing this for years, and I'm barely at 2,000 subscribers. And if you know anything about how this works, and you understand that those channels that don't get uh, promoted, there's a reason for it. And so, um, anybody who shares my stuff with other people or shares my channel, you're greatly appreciated because this work is heavenly, heavenly uh, blocked. They do everything in their power to keep this kind of information from being out there. So let's get into this. This was an incredible sign to me, and um, it took me a while to truly grasp what I was seeing here with this. And so I wanted to make sure that I get this done correctly. So, as many of you know, this is the tabernacle in the constellation of Sagittarius. And we see here the moon is just about to come out of the tabernacle. So, as we're looking at this heavenly wedding coming together in the Sagittarius constellation, we now have the moon in transition, about to exit the Father's house or the tabernacle, and it's going to be coming down towards all of the other wedding guests. And I noticed a couple things that stood out that I didn't get on the last decode. So we're going to be breaking this sign down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the moon. And you can see the moon here is just about to exit the tabernacle. And you can barely see the moon because it's in transition to the sun. And it's just barely got a teeny sliver of light left. And you can see that here on the left-hand side of the moon. And it is about to occult Tau Sagittarii. So let's watch that quickly. And you can see here at 8:43, it's actually, let's go ahead and back it up and we can watch this. So this is the occultation of Tau Sagittarii. And this is the moon. You can see the star behind, and we'll just say 8:30 a.m. Tau Sagittarii is completely occulted by the bride or the moon. And if we just scroll back a little, we can see Medis. Now again, Medis by itself equals wedding. And that is in Gematria. And then we know Dembowska has been moving with Medis through the heavens. And Dembowska is the only other asteroid that is currently inside. Let's just go ahead and do this really quick. Dembowska is inside of the tabernacle with the bride. And that's very important when we're looking at these heavenly signs, because I've been tracking Dembowska and it's been involved in almost every wedding sign that I've had. And same thing with Medis and Vesta. These three have literally been moving through the heavens together and presenting the signs of the heavenly wedding. And so it was very important for me to see this. We're looking at the occultation here of Tau Sagittarii. And we'll just pull it back just slightly. You can see that star. And it gets occulted by the moon. And what I noticed, we're just going to go ahead and move it forward. And you can see how the moon traverses this line in Sagittarius. It's not exact, but it blew my mind when I watched this moon transition this line coming out of the tabernacle. And in my spirit, I got the golden road. And I was like, oh, wow, that is an incredible sign in the heavens. It's like a road coming out of the tabernacle, heading right for the wedding guests. And so I am presenting this as the bride. walking the golden road to the heavenly wedding. And let's go ahead and look at these codes. This is the bride aligning with Tau Sagittarii in the very corner of the tabernacle. January the 17th, 2026, Tau Sagittarii equals Phoenix rising. Rising Phoenix. Capricorn rising sign. A last supper. Apocalyptic, the final goodbye. Coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. The alien arrival, Jesus arrival, time loop defeated, Babylon the Great. January 15. And I was going to do this video yesterday, but my illness kept me from presenting this. Tel Aviv, Israel, encoded symbols, sky mapping, host for real bride of God, the sanctuary, Ephesians 6, sun, mathematics, and Anunnaki wrath. Family, you can't make this kind of stuff up. These are incredible codes aligning. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to watch as the bride makes its transition. And we want to go ahead and pull in here. Excuse me. And I wanted to show this. We have Medis, again, right above the moon as she's transitioning along the Golden Road. And I believe that this is one of our greatest wedding signs because Medis equals wedding. We're looking at the moon, the bride, transitioning out of the tabernacle, and we're literally watching her transition along the Golden Road. And then here, we're looking at the moon on the 18th, becoming of new moon, aligning with the bridegroom. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at this all important sign here. This is the moon on meridian right as it's about to enter into the Capricorn constellation. So again, Tau Sagittarii equals Capricorn rising sign. And what we're looking at here is the moon about to enter into the house of Capricorn. Now, one of the things we see with this wedding is Venus and Vesta have already entered. So let's quickly look at the entrance of Venus. I think we have to do it this way so we can see the sign. And I believe Venus enters on the 17th. So here we go here. We're looking at Venus tomorrow entering into the Capricorn constellation. And we already see Vesta, the virgins have already entered into the constellation. Vesta hasn't entered into the temple, but she's in the constellation now with Venus on the 17th, just after midnight. And so this was a very important sign. Now, again, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you know when Venus is on the left side of the sun, then it's an evening star. And when Venus is on the right hand of the sun, it's the morning star. So Venus has a dual sign, morning and evening. When Venus is the evening star, it's a representation of the bride of Christ. When Venus is the morning star, it's a sign of the bridegroom or Messiah, representation just like the sun. So Venus has a dual sign, a masculine and feminine aspect. And so we get different meanings depending on whether it's a morning or an evening sign. So we see here Venus as the evening star, representing the bride or the called out ones, or the some people will say the church. But that has multiple aspects and multiple meanings because there's different degrees of the church, and you can't broad stroke the idea of the church being the bride, because in my understanding, the majority of the church is sleeping, and they will need to be refined in order to um, meet the requirements for the escape. Many Christians believe incorrectly that all they have to do is say a prayer, and somehow that belief uh, gets them a golden ticket into heaven. And that does not align with the words of Messiah, because we are to pick up our own cross, and you can't have that type of statement without there being a change of heart and a change of mind and a process of refinement that in some cases takes years to accomplish. Um, Not just a prayer, and then all of a sudden there's some kind of magical door that you enter. I don't believe any of that whatsoever. It doesn't align with the words of Messiah. And so we have to go through, each of us have to go through our own refinement. We have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Not just say a prayer and have a belief, because even it's stated in the scriptures that even the devils believe and they tremble. Don't you remember when Messiah cast the demons into the pigs? They were afraid. that they were about to be judged. And we need to be on the same wavelength. We need to understand how important our personal relationship is with Messiah. And we need to have the indwelling of the Spirit. And that causes us to go through a refinement period. And we can see that with all the signs in the heavens. It's pointing us to a great mystery. So what we're going to do is we're going to be showing how this transition, if we see here at when Venus enters Capricorn, we can see how the moon is inside of the tabernacle. So this on the 17th tomorrow is a major transition of the bride. We can also see the virgins entering into the temple of the sun. Now, they're not inside of the temple yet, but they're in transition. And the rest of these heavenly wedding guests are waiting for the bride to arrive. So let's watch the bride make her transition along the golden road, and we can see the occultation of the star that is aligning with the road out of the tabernacle. And here comes the bride. And again on the 18th, we see the moon here. This would be the new moon on the 18th in the middle of the day, Pacific Standard Time. And the moon has aligned with the sun. And again, we can see that this is happening right on the border of Capricorn. Very, very important sign. This I would consider the Golden Road sign, as it's transitioned along this road and now it's entering into the heavenly wedding, which is aligning with the bridegroom right at the entrance of Capricorn. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that in this heavenly wedding story, we have the Father's house, and then we have the house of the Son. And in the heavenly wedding story, the Father helps the Son to either prepare a home for him and his bride inside of his house, or the Father helps the Son to build his own house. And in most cases, it would be on the property or just outside of the property, and the father would either purchase land or prepare a place for his son and his son's bridegroom. And that to me is the constellation of Capricorn. And the reason that we know that this is that way is because Capricorn is the symbol of Messiah. And we can see here this larger pyramid, and this is the temple of sacrifice represented by the kneeling goat. And in the back side, we see this other pyramid, and it is aligning with the resurrection fish. So this is the sacrifice or the death and the resurrection coming to life. And this is a sign of Messiah. Now, all of the constellations are actually a representation of Messiah. At least the zodiac signs. They're all telling the story of Messiah. Excuse me, fam. So this house is literally in the back side of the Father's house. And we're watching all of the guests align, and they're all about to transition into the Capricornus constellation. So let's go back to the moon, and we're going to watch the moon as it enters into the tabernacle of the sun. So now we're on the 19th. In the early morning hours, we're looking at the moon entering into the temple of the sun. And we're here at 2:49 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 19th, and the moon has entered into the tabernacle. So this is an important sign. We see the rest of the wedding guests about to enter. The sun is right on the border, and Mars and Mercury are right behind the sun. Again, Mars is like the protector angel, a warrior angel, and Mercury is a messaging angel. And we've done the breakdowns of these angelic hosts. If you haven't seen those videos, you can go back in my uh, my video section and hunt for those videos. I believe it was during summer, so you can pull those up. If I remember, I will connect those to the description in the video title. So I wanted to present this. We're going to go ahead and walk back quickly. I want to bring up one other sign that I didn't present. Let's go ahead and walk back to the 17th. And we're going to move forward to this sign right here. This is when Medis aligns with the moon. And I wanted to bring a couple things up about Medis that I did not present in the last video. So first, Medis by itself is 396 English gematria. And if you want to pull this up, because I didn't do a breakdown for this video. If you want to pull this up for yourself, you can pull up 396 English gematria, and Medis equals wedding. And Medis equals corona. 396 English. Medis equals woman. 396. Medis equals family, 396. Medis equals freedom, 396. Medis equals blessed. Medis equals all aboard. Medis equals Sabaoth. And for those of you who do not know, Sabaoth was one of the demiurge angels. And he is the only angel of the demiurge that made it out. And this is part of the, if you've been studying any of the lost books, we'll call them, then you will know about Sabaoth and how we'll just leave that for a different video. But Sabaoth is the only demiurge angel. Uh, Sabaoth was the angel of Mars. This was a demiurge angel, and Sophia helped Sabaoth to leave and enter into the pleroma. And now Sabaoth is one of the angels that represents the higher heavens. And then we have 396 English equals Magdalene. So I wanted to bring those codes out. You're more than welcome to go look that up for yourself. It's 396 English, and that is the equation for Medis. So I wanted to make sure that got brought forward. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to move over because there was something else that I did not have time for. And this is one of the most important signs. What we're looking at here, fam, is the alignment of the planet Jupiter. Here we can see the alignment here. We'll just call it 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have Jupiter aligning with Pollux. Now, for those of you who've been following this channel, then you know that we are looking at this as a bride and a bridegroom, not two brothers in the Gemini constellation. This is a representation of the bridecaster and the bridegroom Pollux. And we know that Jupiter is the king planet and was involved in the sign of the wise men. And this is the planet that they used to locate the birth of Messiah. And we should expect Jupiter to be involved in the signs of the escape of the bride. What we have here is Jupiter aligning with Pollux. And if you look in the hand, in the right hand of the bridegroom, he is holding a tool of harvest. And you can do your own homework and look up what this tool is. But this is a harvesting tool that they used for um, corn, and also for grapes. And it was used on very specific types of stalks that needed to be cut. And if you look at Virgo, then you can see how in her right hand is a sheaf, and in her left hand, the spica hand, is the wheat or the grain. But this hand is holding a sheaf, and some say this is corn. Um, I believe it to be an ancient grain. And this is being marked by 24p Showmas. So let's take a step back. We're just going to watch Showmas exit the lion's tail, and it is pointing out this entire time, all the way up to the 17th, where it is now in the middle of Bootes. And this is another sign of the harvest, fam. He's holding the exact same harvest tool as Paula. And if we look at Meridian, let's go ahead and do this. And we move forward. I believe it's the 23rd. Okay, right here, fam. We are looking at the alignment of 24p Showmas, and we are aligned with Arcturus. And I knew I forgot something. I have to do this really quick, fam. Um, okay. Let's just blow this up. Okay. Sorry. I should have had this blown up. Okay, Arcturus is mentioned in the Bible in the book of Job, specifically in Job 9:9 and Job 38:32, symbolizing God's omnipotent and mastery over creation. Okay, Job 9:9, the verse states, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and the Pleiades, and the chambers of the south. In Job 38:32, yeah, God asked Job, can you bring forth the Mazaroth in its seasons? And in this one, it's saying, bring forth the constellations. But the original Hebrew word is Mazaroth. Can you bring forth Mazaroth in its seasons, or lead out the bear with its cubs? The rhetoric question underscores the divine authority over celestial bodies, including Arcturus. So let's go back here. This is Arcturus, a very important star in the heavens. And we're looking at the alignment with 24p Shomas on the 23rd. One of the other things that I noticed was these I want to just point this out. This is CSS Tianhe, artificial satellite, Tiangong. And I noticed that at this time, we can just move it forward. And we can see by the minutes. I need to have a focus on our Arcturus. Okay, where'd they all go? Okay, here we go. So I want you to look at all these star links, and you can't make this kind of stuff up. It's just unbelievable what I was witnessing here with these star links. Actually, I don't think this one is a star link. I'm not sure what it is, but if you look at these satellites, they are marking this alignment here. And I wanted to point that out, that these are marking this alignment here. And that was very important for me to bring out because it's just another sign. Even the satellites are showing us the involvement in these signs. And this was very important to me as a sign with Shomas and Arcturus. And then let's go back to Jupiter. And we can see that Jupiter on the 17th makes its alignment. And I want everybody to see what happens with Jupiter. Now let's go ahead and go back. If everyone remembers what I was presenting in summer at the foot of the bride, and you can go back and look at those videos if you're new. At the foot of the bride, we were presenting these signs, and then we had Jupiter align with the sun here in the bride sign of Castor. And then we watched Jupiter transition from the bride to the bridegroom. And then Jupiter goes retrograde. And what we're witnessing on the 17th is Jupiter having gone retrograde in Pollux. And this is the king planet aligning with Pollux, the bridegroom. So we have a dual sign. This is the king aligning with the bridegroom happening tomorrow. And again, Pollux is holding a harvest tool, and so is Boötes. And they have the exact same harvest tool. So this is an important sign in the heavens screaming to us of the harvest. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to watch Jupiter finish its retrograde motion, and we're going to be looking at the next alignment of Jupiter with Pollux. So let's watch this happen. Jupiter then comes out of retrograde in March. So let's watch that. So here we go, Jupiter. Let's scroll in a little further. I can pull this up. I didn't have this pulled up. So it looks like 3:11. Let's go ahead and pull this up really quick. Um, okay, this is showing. Let's see, because it began in 2025. Here we go. Okay, so this says Jupiter will be in retrograde from November 11th, 11/11/2025 family to March 10th, 2026. So you can't make this stuff up. Jupiter is part of our 11/11 sign. And then here on the 10th, Jupiter comes out of retrograde motion and then heads back to its alignment with the bridegroom. And here we go. We're on May the 2nd. Jupiter now aligns with the bridegroom again, going forward. So we have seen a triple alignment of Jupiter and Pollux. And this is important heavenly language because if you go back to the birth of Messiah, one of the signs that they received is the triple conjunction of Jupiter and Regulus. And you can go look that up. Jupiter and Regulus, triple conjunction. There's also a triple conjunction of Jupiter and Venus back then, I believe. I'll have to look that up. Uh, if uh, if you know about that and you want to post that information in the comment section, just in case I forget to post that information, that would be greatly appreciated. But I believe there was also a triple conjunction of Jupiter and Venus. So this is a vitally important part of our decodes. And then what I did is I broke down the sign for the 17th. This is the celestial king sign. This is Jupiter aligning with Pollux on 1/17/26. And it equals celestial king sign equals 176, simple ordinal gematria. Celestial king sign equals January 19. Again, January 19th is the day that the moon enters into the or the temple of the sun. It equals Back to the Future, The Wizard of Oz. You were chosen. Exit the Matrix. Anunnaki Stargate. Break Saturn's code. Decode the Lord Zodiac. As white as snow. Elijah the Prophet. Justice is coming. Purim. Rapture. The Lamb's Book of Life. Ticket to Paradise. A wedding to Jesus. Family, you can't make any of these things up. This is Jupiter aligning with Kala. And we have the third alignment on May the 2nd, 2026. We have Jupiter aligning with the bridegroom again for the third time. So I wanted to bring all of these extra things up. Let's go ahead and go to Venus. And we're going to go back. And we're going to be looking at Venus in transition here on the 17th. Venus enters. And then we have a very, very important sign. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up this way. I want you to see this. It's beautiful. Okay, so we have Venus enters on the 21st. And then we have Vesta in transition on the 23rd. We can see Vesta. Let's go ahead and get it right up because I think it's the 22nd. Yes. Okay, so I was right. This is the 22nd, right before midnight. We can see now Vesta, the virgins, have entered into the temple of the sun. And then we have the 23rd. And we have Mercury in transition to the temple of the sun. And here we are on the 24th. And we're literally right after midnight. We're watching Mercury enter the temple of the sun. And then let's move forward. And on the 25th, we see the sun now in the temple. And then the last is on the 30th. We are going to watch Mars enter the tabernacle on the 30th. So now all of our wedding guests are in the house of the sun, the bridegroom, and they're all here in the house of the sun. And so we're looking at the 30th as the last day of all of our wedding guests entering into the temple of the sun And we can see how everyone is in this house now. We don't have anyone outside of the house. We have the bridegroom, we have the virgins, we have Venus as the bride, we have Mercury as the messenger. Let's get in really close so we can see this. Both Venus and Mercury are in the temple of resurrection, and the Sun and Vesta and Mars are in the temple of sacrifice. And so I wanted to bring this last part of the heavenly wedding, and this should be our transitional signs for the heavenly wedding. And we have to continue to watch the signs in the heavens. Again, we have our alignment with Jupiter and Pollux tomorrow. Tomorrow is the entrance of Venus into Capricorn. Tomorrow is the alignment with Medis and the moon. And tomorrow is the occultation of Tau Sagittarii. And the golden road sign of the bride coming out of the Father's house. So I want to thank you all for coming. I wanted to make sure we got these signs out before the 17th. And I hope this will bless you all greatly. These were incredible signs to me. And I wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to see these signs. They are incredible signs in the heavens. And it's important for us to keep our eyes to the skies. Much love. We will see you again very soon. Have a wonderful day. And again, thank you to everyone who was praying for me. Uh, this is um, a wonderful thing. I didn't have any serious things happen to me during this whole thing. And I have a phone call coming in. So thanks for coming.